Just a few pickups of comments. SGBH says National Service, MPs first, practice what they preach. Well, I think it's a really good point, because if Rishi Sunak is talking about a national service which is going to invigorate the youth, he should be looking at the national service that has gone on in the Conservative government over the last 14 years. So many people who have been elected to the highest responsibility in our country to represent their constituents in Parliament have not been, it seems, at the national service, have been at their own service, lining their own pockets, ensuring that they have sinecures and incomes for life after their resignation, fiddling the books, it seems, and giving money to their friends, whether this is in the form of PPE or blatant corruption. And then on top of that, being caught out not paying their full whack of taxes. This is a government that has been dominated by the scandals of people who preach one thing and do another. And I find that a rather distasteful form of behaviour. And whoever is going to come into Parliament next needs to make sure that they're not going to repeat the same thing. Jason Abercrombie says it's a disgrace that water is in the hands of the private sector, with high bills for the public and huge bonuses for the fat cats in charge of these companies, with very little or no oversight by government. There are few posts in government Therese Coffey has not held, and seems to have made a hash of each of these jobs, and the sooner she and her party are out of office, the better, and I doubt even her old department, the DWP, will be able to find jobs for any of them. Well, as I said, the web-fingered hands of corruption stretch far. Dylan-esque says Tusi not only continues to support Israel, but also his hated, and then there's another flag, I'm not sure, people, which is prevalently clear. And look, the whole point about debate on here is that we need a range of views, number one. Number two, the issues that are being discussed are nuanced, and you're not in one team or the other. And I am certainly hugely supportive of Israel. I'm also supportive of the Palestinians. And I'm not supportive of Prime Minister Netanyahu because I think he's overstepped the mark. In the same way, I'm hugely supportive of Russia and Russians. I am not supportive of President Putin and the current Kremlin administration. I use the term Putin very loosely. I am supportive of President Zelensky, and I've been questioning of Ukraine in the past, partly because of the incidents of corruption and the very odd governments that it's had. Zelensky seems to be a difference, but the big issue there is the invasion by a foreign power, a power that had accepted the nuclear weapons of Ukraine on condition that it supported and protected Ukraine. It hasn't kept its word. The issue of Israel's attack on Gaza is slightly more complex because it follows the appalling Hamas attack on October the 7th, and a country has a right to self-defense. I don't think a country has a right to punish the civilian population for the actions of its government, whether that government is a proper government or a terrorist organisation that is creaming off the money that has been gifted to it by well-wishers to build a network, a web of tunnels beneath the ground. All of these issues are nuanced, and I find it frustrating when people see national and international politics in terms of football support, waving flags. Even if I can peer close enough at the text to actually work out what the flags are, and it's just it's sort of wrong, really. Keith Browning says the post office scandal seems to be about the Royal Mail flotation, and vennells was put in there to cover up the mess to make sure it was successful. The post office sub-postmasters were seen as mere collateral damage. She also had a job in the cabinet office and could speak Russian. Start to join the dots. No, the dots are not joined like that. And simply because you speak Russian does not mean that you are a sympathizer to the present Russian regime. As for somebody being appointed to cover up the mess of the post office and Royal Mail flotation, the mess, I think, was the division of the Royal Mail and the post office, and the closure of so many sorting offices, and the abrogation of duty to deliver the mail twice a day, and in the past sometimes 3 times a day. Now we're lucky to have 1 postal delivery a day, and we certainly are not guaranteed anymore that a first-class letter posted before 12 o'clock will reach its destination the following morning. That was what was promised in the past, because I remember posting letters to get the last post when I was a student, and it worked. It worked. And there was a big difference between first-class and second-class postage. Now, it doesn't matter what postage stamp you stick on the letter. Anyway, you might well stick on a perfectly good first-class stamp and then find that it's actually a fake, and that you were sold a fake by the shop. We have no trust in the post office and in the Royal Mail because of people like Paula Vennells, who have fouled up so badly and who have transferred the blame for error onto the sub-postmasters. She's all about blame. So she was blaming the sub-postmasters wrongly, and now she's blaming her colleagues wrongly. Well, probably rightly, but she's not blaming all the colleagues that she could. She selected 4, and there's plenty of others who have been named in the post office inquiry who she's keeping mum about because they're her friends, I suppose. Oh, cue for another bout of crying from Paula Vennells. I'm not interested in her waterworks. Maybe given the amount of tears and the control that she has over her waterworks, she should be running the Department for the Environment.